Hello, listeners. Welcome to Plano's Political Pitbull Podcast. I am Esther.
And I'm Ruth.
And we have a packed show for you today. But first, our sponsor is Southwest Pain Management. Southwest Pain Management takes care of most chronic pain without pain pills. Their goal is to get you back to doing the things you love. They are also the world's leading long COVID experts. Dr. Groisman sees people from all over the world to treat their long COVID. Southwest Pain Management is in Plano, so please go to their website, reliefbeginshere.com. That's reliefbeginshere.com to see all that they do. So, last week I said that today we were going to give an episode on the full meaning of fascism because people out there throw that word around and have no clue what it actually means. So I did some research. I found a document written by Benito Mussolini himself in 1932 called The Doctrine of Fascism. I also watched two documentaries, one called Mussolini, the First Fascist. The other was Mussolini, Italy's Greatest Evil. And I also watched some short videos on the subject of fascism. So, I think that I've been pretty thorough in my research. Now, fascism was a political party. I say was because there is no more fascist party. It was actually banned from Italy after Mussolini was basically put to death. And it was founded by Benito Mussolini after he got kicked out of the Socialist Party. So he was a little frosty, I guess, and decided I'm going to create my own political philosophy and party. Now, he disagreed with the communist. Actually, a lot of people in Italy feared the communist. And he disagreed with the socialist, which is why he got kicked out. So he created his own party, and he used former World War II vets to be his black shirts. That's the violent aspect of the fascist party. And they would go around and they would basically beat up anyone who wasn't a fascist and oppose the fascists. But the party itself has specific tenets to it. And according to the doctrine of fascism, Mussolini says, life as conceived by the fascist is serious, austere, and religious. All its manifestations are poised in a world sustained by moral forces and subject to spiritual responsibilities. The fascists disdain an easy life. So this was not just a political party. This was, in Mussolini's eyes, a way of life. He says, fascism is not only a system of government, but also, above all, a system of thought. And at the center is, of course, the state, not the individual. Fascism is opposed to individualism. It is opposed to all individualistic abstractions based on the 18th century materialism, according to his own writings in the doctrine. It does not believe in a possibility of happiness on earth. And the state is the most important thing. Individualisticness is no. The fascist conception of life stresses the importance of the state and accepts the individual only insofar as his interests coincide with those of the interests of the state. This does align with socialism and communism. The state is, in both of those, all important. This does not, by any stretch of the imagination, align with what we believe in America here, what a Republican would believe, or even, shall we say, a Democrat of, let's say, Kennedy, or if I could think of a Democrat today, maybe John Fetterman, senator from Pennsylvania. Individualism is important to those systems of government. Fascism, going on from the doctrine, stands for liberty, and for only liberty worth having, the liberty of the state and of the individual within the state. Again, your liberty only comes from the state. It doesn't come from anything else. And yes, fascism is totalitarian. And you can only be a part of groups that the state allows you to be a part of and that the state creates. So there are no individuals or groups, political parties, cultural associations, economic unions, or social classes outside of the state. Fascism is likewise opposed to trade unions as a class weapon. Here you don't see a class struggle. Communism and socialism uses the class struggles in between the classes, so to speak. In communism or Marxism, it's the business owners versus the workers. Here, there is none of that. He goes on in the doctrine. Fascism, in short, is not only a lawgiver and a founder of institutions, but an educator and a promoter of spiritual life. Yes, you can have God in fascism. It aims at refashioning not only the forms of life, but their content, man, his character, and his faith. Fascism is not a dove. All right? It does not believe in peace, and it is not peaceful. As we said, it uses violence to control the people, specifically the black shirts. We say black shirts because they were dressed all in black. Their helmets had skulls on them. And he says all doctrines which postulate peace at all costs are incompatible with fascism. So like I said, fascism is not a dove, it's a hawk. The fascist accepts the loves life. He rejects and despises suicide as cowardly. Life, as he understands it, means duty, elevation, conquest. Life must be lofty and full. It must be lived for oneself, but above all, for others. So again, you have that allegiance to the state. The state comes first. It denies materialistic conception of happiness as a possibility. So material things won't bring you happiness. That's a kind of universal truth in a way. And it is not democratic. It does not believe in democracy. It has one leader, the dictator. It says democratic regimes may be described as those under which the people are, from time to time, deluded into the belief that they exercise sovereignty, while all the time real sovereignty resides in and is exercised by other and sometimes irresponsible and secret forces. Democracy is a kingless regime infested by many kings who are sometimes more exclusive, tyrannical, and destructive than one, even if he be a tyrant. So it basically is saying that democracy is not a real thing. You think you have a democracy, but you're not really a democracy.
I don't think that's what it's saying.
Yeah, it's saying that you think you have democracy, but you're not really sovereign. You may not have one leader. You have a bunch of leaders who hold power.
Then he's talking about a republic.
I think he's speaking more of an oligarchy in this sense. He's saying instead of having an oligarchy, it's where you think you get a choice and you can vote. It's better to have one leader to run everything. So the keystone of the fascist doctrine is its conception of the state, of its essence, its functions, and its aims. For fascism, the state is absolute. Individuals and groups are relative. This is a theme he keeps repeating over and over again. And as we have talked about on this show, it believes in government intervention in business. Now, it doesn't believe in owning the businesses or owning the means of production, but it does believe in interfering in business. And as I said, it allows for religion. He says, the fascist state sees in religion one of the deepest and spiritual manifestations, and for this reason is not only respects religion, but defends and protects it. And when he says religion, he means the Catholic Church. Mussolini actually made the country's religion Catholic. It's how he got the Catholic Church, Rome basically, on his side. And he made it the state religion. The fascism sees in the imperialistic spirit, in the tendency of nations to expand. So this is where you see his expansion of his empire coming in, where he wanted to conquer other nations to bring them into Italy's empire. So that is all from the fascist doctrine, and I'll put a link to that on the website, Plano's Political Pitbull.com.
So you can read the whole thing, because
Yes.
she just gave you some highlights.
I did. I just gave you the highlights. So, how does this all work in reality? Or how did it all work in reality? So, basically, in Mussolini's Italy, the state or government is the most important thing, more important than the individual. It has one dictator for a leader. There are no civil liberties. There is no free press. The state is in control of the culture. It allows God, specifically the Catholic Church, and there is no separation of church and state. And a society's laws and institutions should be integrated with the church doctrine. There are no unions. You are not allowed to strike. You can own property and you can own your business, but the government will tell you how to run your business, down to the last detail, and it regulates everything. You may get the choice of what color your product can be, but that's about it. The only way you stay in business is to partner with the government, get subsidies to help your business, and also he subsidized farmers. So we do this in the United States. Both Democrat and Republican believe that subsidies, economic development, corporate welfare, call it whatever you want, government grants, whatever name you want to give it, that's fascism, folks. It is very materialistic, and it believes in a strong national unity. It's pivotal. They say that they are stronger together. In the end, fascism controls business with regulations, cultural life through propaganda, and subsidizing events for people to go to, like arts programs. It controls your social life by creating its own youth groups, women's groups, after-work organizations. And Mussolini did this. He created these little groups for people. And he also controlled social outings by sponsoring weekend getaways for people to the beach. So it would create tourism. And it believes in expansion of their nation to grow the empire. So that's what fascism is, folks. Does this sound anything like the Democrats or the Republicans? It certainly is not Republican. Republicans, generally speaking, have a philosophy. If you look at their platform, the individual is important. They believe in individual rights, in civil liberties, in a constitution. The Democrats also believe in civil liberties, in a constitution, that individuals have rights.
Can we give a little asterisk for each that says most of the time for both?
Yes, okay. Most of the time, yes. There are extremes on both sides. I am talking about the general philosophy here. If you look at the platforms, okay? And I know that there are some extremes on both sides. Also, oftentimes they equate Hitler with fascism. Hitler and his Nazis were National Socialists. Big difference. Yes, they were friends, but they did not agree on economics. And in the beginning, they did not agree on how to treat Jews. Mussolini did not have any problems with Jews in the beginning. Actually, he had a Jewish mistress. He had a few mistresses. One of them was Jewish. It was only until Mussolini teamed up with Hitler in a formal agreement and then slowly started to lose control that Hitler started to have more control over Mussolini and Italy. And when Mussolini came back from a trip to Germany, that's when he started saying that Jews could no longer work in civil service. Jews were no longer allowed to live in certain areas. They had to live in what we would refer to as ghettos, so to speak, as the Jewish ghettos. And they were not even allowed to go to school anymore. He never had concentration camps. He never had the gas chamber. That was all just in Germany and Hitler's creation. So there was a definite difference between the two gentlemen. What was also different was Hitler took away religion in Germany. He actually went to all of the schools in Germany, and the schools were Christian, and they had a crucifix on the wall, or they'd have a picture of Jesus. Well, he went in the school.
Let me guess, he tore it down and replaced it with a picture of himself.
Yes, he did. Exactly right. He took those pictures, took all the pictures of Jesus down, took the crucifixes down, and put up himself. He replaced Jesus with himself. Very big difference.
I am a god.
No, yeah, I think he did think he was a god. Mussolini didn't do that. It might have been because the Catholic Church's home is in Rome and was very influential in Italy. I mean, Mussolini was just as arrogant, just as much had a big ego as the rest of them. But he did not take away God from the Italians and from his people. Unlike Hitler. For some reason, socialists and fascists seem to get along. They both do not get along with communists. It's quite interesting. I guess they both want private property, unlike the communists who want no private property. So the next time somebody says, oh, they're a fascist, ask them. So they believe that you're telling me that they believe that the state must come above everything, that there can be nothing ahead of the state, there's no individual rights, they are against having guns, because one of the other things both Hitler and Mussolini did, well, Hitler did it, was disarm the citizenry. You know that a person is not a totalitarian if they're going to let people have weapons. That's the first clue they're totalitarian. They take away the weapons from people.
They're for beating up political opponents or really anyone who disagrees with them. Mm-hmm. Like literally beat up.
Yes. Yeah, he did that. They're for killing their political opponents. He did that. He killed, Mussolini had his political opponents killed. Specifically one of the leading members of the Communist Party.
We haven't had true fascism in a really long time.
No, like I said, as a political party, it's dead. It's not allowed in Italy as a party. That's it, folks. Now you know what fascism really is. And the way people are using it today is not what it is. Alrighty. Mr. Zusi is still in the shelter. Zeus is a friendly boy who is about 5 years of age. He is a smart dog who will make a great companion for you. He is a playful dog who was never claimed by his owner. One of his eyes has a genetic defect, but it sure doesn't slow him down. He is an active and sweet boy who really wants a new home. He is also affectionate and just a love bug. So if you're interested in our very important dog Zeus, please go to www.planospoliticalpitbull.com and click on the link Pit Bulls for Adoption. That is all for today, folks. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. This is Esther.
And this is Ruth.
For Plano's Political Pitbull, signing off.